Sorry about that. Hi everybody, this is Timmy Lambda once again. And I'm going to talk a little reading about Margaret H.A. Ray's Curious George and the birthday surprise. Here goes. Oh. It was made in 2003. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today is a special day. The man with the yellow hat told George at breakfast, "I have a surprise planned and lots to do. To get ready, you can help me by staying out of trouble." George was happy to help. Let's turn the page like this. Later, while George was looking out the window and being very good, he heard some tinkling music. It was coming from an ice cream truck. George watched as a whole line of children and their dogs enjoyed some ice cream treats. It looked like fun. But when the ice cream truck moved on, George forgot all about staying out of trouble and went to some fun of his own. In the living room, George found noisemakers and hats and games. Could this be part of his friend's surprise? Before George could find out, he spotted some streamers, balloons, and colored tissue. He could not resist. Decorating was easy for a little monkey. Still, George was curious about the surprise. And what was that good smell coming from the kitchen? George followed his nose. It was a cake, and it looked as good as it smelled. All it needed was frosting. George had seen his friend making frosting before, but today his friend was busy. Maybe George could help. He could frost the cake himself. First, George put a bit of his in the mixing bowl. Next, he added a bit of that. Then he turned the mixer on. The frosting whirled around and around. Turn the page. It was whirling too fast. But when George tried to stop mixer, it only went faster and faster. And faster! George left it and the beaters out of the bowl. Frosting flew everywhere. Poor George. He did not mean to make such a mess. He had only wanted to help. Now could he clean up the sticky kitchen? Just then, George heard the tinkling music again. The ice cream truck was coming back up the street, and George had an idea. Quickly, he opened the door and invited all of the dogs in for a treat. In no time, the kitchen was clean as a whistle. When the dogs finished their snack, George took him back outside. The ice cream truck was still there, and so was his friend. "George," said the man with the yellow hat, "I've been looking for you. It's time for the surprise." George found hats, games, decorations, and a cake. He was curious. What's the surprise party? Yes, it was a party. George was happy to see all of his friends. They were glad to see George too. "What great directions," Bill said. "What a lot of presents," said Betsy. "Why don't you play some games with the guest, George?" The man with the yellow hat suggested. "I have one more thing to do." When George's friend came back, he was carrying a cake covered in candles. This wasn't just any party. It was a birthday party. But George was still curious. Whose birthday was it? He watched to see who would blow out the candles. The man with the yellow hat put the cake down right in front of George. That was the surprise. It was George's birthday. The party for him. Everyone sang "Happy Birthday." Then George took a deep breath and made a wish. Happy birthday, George. The end. That's gonna wrap up my reading of Curious George and the Birthday Surprise. See you in my next video, there, folks.